Hello and welcome, dearest. I'm Grandma Mimsy, and I've been trying to figure out how to best update this update. And I think I need to begin with a little bit of history in that I didn't have a warm and fuzzy, loving, or caring family. It was pretty brutal. We'll go with that. And making friends was not something that I was really allowed to do. I was expected to be responsible without having any power or authority or control over anything. So, rock and hard place. I was expected to care for my younger sister and the entire household. So, having the opportunity to go off and do things that most children would do, most teenagers would do, I never really had any of those experiences as the typical American child would. To the extent of making friends, I did make one, and my mother went to the school and told them that her and I were no longer allowed to be in the same class together. My mother did everything she could to not allow me to be the person that I could have been. And then forced me into a lot of situations that most people could not. I mean, you cannot make this stuff up. This also forced my first marriage at a very young age. Let's just say there was 7 years difference, and he was an adult and I wasn't. And his mother didn't approve, and that led to a lot of disagreements, and did not make my life easy trying to raise my child. And there's no other way to say this. I did my best to be polite and respectful of my mother-in-law and his family. They didn't listen to anything I said. I had zero ability to say no to anything. If this gives you any idea, that in the very beginning, when my daughter was 2 weeks old, his parents came to visit, and the very first question was, "We know you're breastfeeding, but is there any way we can take baby without mama?" And you understand, if you're a parent, grandparent, you understand that bond with your child when they're young is very important. And she did everything she could. The mother-in-law did everything she could to undermine and interfere in that. And if that gives you any idea, that was pretty much, I think, the only time I really had the ability to say no. But systematically, he, under false pretenses, created a situation where we ended up, for what I believed to be a visit, turned into him getting a job and just unilaterally saying, "We're moving." This was 300 miles away from any place I had ever known. No family, no friends, no connections to anything. No way to be able to do outside of anything other than what they determined, that I would get a job and the mother-in-law would watch my child. And even though I had clear boundaries of what, and I'm using the term boundaries, what I had clear expectations, clear decisions on what I had said about the things I would like to have for my child done or not done, were ignored. And again, a very difficult, for the rest of their lives, caused problems, and severely interfered in the relationship I have with my daughter. It is a lot better now. We've come to some understandings because there are some things that did get finally discussed after she was an adult, after she was a parent. I mean, this took a really long time for us to have a pretty decent relationship. And it's still a struggle because there's some things that, while they happen to me, my daughter doesn't see the fact that they are the exact same experience and the exact same mentality and the exact same situation, but she doesn't see eye to eye on some of the things that the way that they are, and that causes more conflict. So I'm doing the best I can in everything I have done to this point. And on another platform, I thought I had met a group of people that were including me into their little group. There was someone that I met within this group that seemed like she needed someone to be there for her in the place just like I did when I was her age. And I was also going through a lot of things the last 8 months of my life. There have been people who are in positions of power, authority, and control who have done things to turn my entire life upside down, even though it should be peaceful and calm. It's not. And I really can't talk about it or explain it. It's just that there are people who have overstepped and done things they should not have done. I just don't have proof. So I'm making the best of some really bad situations. And out of frustration, and given the era and the time of how Hubster and I grew up and the things that were told to us, instilled in us, there's certain expectations of how men and women behave in their relationships. And I understand that a lot of that was toxic and bad. And by some grace, I managed to get out of my circumstances, knowing that I wanted to make changes, knowing that I needed help, knowing that things were not the way they should be. And going through my first marriage, also trying to push back against that by the time I was reading everything I could. I was getting help wherever I could. I was learning how to be a better person, a better parent. And by the time I met my second husband, again, things were difficult, and he pretended to be a person that he was not. And after we were married, after I was pregnant, his true colors came out, and he was very toxic. He was masking a lot of things and, waiting until he had me, because that's what certain men of a certain mentality will do. And all of this was before the famous Mr. OJ went on trial for all the things that go along with that. And in the process of that, husband number 2 nearly ended me in front of my children. And I have no idea, other than guardian angels and something intervened and saved me. And I'm still here. So all of this being said, is that individual that I met in various conversations, this is a safe place. You can tell me whatever you want. I thought we were forming a friendship. I thought that there was at least some things that would stay private. And in the process of this, going through some things that were very difficult, dealing with some stuff that I should not have had to have done, I was super stressed out. I mean, I cannot tell you the pressure and the timelines of things that I had to get things done. And I had zero help. And a lot of this was messing with my sleep and my ability to eat and to function and to think. And in a moment where I felt utterly alone, this person said, "You can tell me what's going on." And I shared some things I probably shouldn't have. And next thing I know, I get a message that was really condescending and telling me I didn't understand boundaries and that I didn't effectively learn them. And I'm sitting here thinking, this child is in her 30s and still in therapy. And because, yes, the things that she went through was traumatic and has her issues where she was in therapy and being told certain things and taught certain things and understanding certain things from a very young age. After my second husband tried to do the things that he did, I was in therapy before that, and I was in therapy after that. And nowhere in any of this did anybody say anything using the word boundaries. And yet I was effectively doing that activity of saying, this is not okay. This is a line I will not allow people to cross. It was just nobody would listen to me because I had zero power and control to be able to exert ramifications or consequences to said boundaries. Even after I told my in-laws that I would never deny them visitation with their granddaughter, they still took me to court for grandparents' rights. And I had to live by that. And that completely altered the life I was allowed to have. And it caused me numerous amounts of things that I can't even begin to explain to you, all of the distress, financially, mentally, emotionally. It spoke to the very essence of what I was allowed to do in my life. And even after, because the letter of the paperwork, the letter of the court order specifically had certain expectations, I did not violate any of that. But it did not say in any way, shape, or form that I had to give these people my physical address or my phone number. And at one point, I chose, after moving, to not share that. They still had contact. They still saw her. They were still able to do everything that they were allowed to do. And they took me back to court to force the judge to insist that they have that information. Unfortunately, I was served at my home, so the proof of service included my physical address. And when we went to court, the first thing that the judge said is, "Why have you stopped visitation?" And I said, "I never have. They just saw her like 2 weeks ago." And so in the ruling, after everything was said and done, the judge said, "No, you don't have to have her address or phone number. You still have contact with the child." No, denied. But because my address was included in the paperwork from the courts, even though they were not supposed to have it, they still got it, and then immediately went and sent things to my daughter that I did not want her to have, that she should not have had, things that her eating was actually bad for her. And yet, so again, even with a court order, I can't even get things to be followed. So it was incredibly painful and hurtful for this child to be talking down to me and telling me that I don't know how to live my life and I don't know how to be a person who can stand up for myself. I mean, seriously, I spoke to someone else, several people who had nothing to do this, are not online in any way, shape, or forms, have no connection to this at all. These are personal private people that I have connections to, and thank you very much. You all know who you are. You will never know the depths of how much your friendship means to me and how much you gave me support through these difficult times. Even these other people who I did share this information with went, wow, that's just... So I did, because of everything that's going on, because of the way that women are being treated right now, because of a lot of things. When I was born, the medical procedure that everybody's upset about that only affects women was not legal. A woman could not open a checking account by herself. She had to have her husband on that account as a joint account. Now, men could go get an account on their own, but women couldn't have a credit card unless your husband was on the account and you were the authorized signer or using his income as verification. There were so many things out there. Like I said, the concept of boundaries and mental health and the protections that so many people live under, it is completely disingenuous and condescending that something that you grew up with having the benefits of, and then to talk me down and dress me down in a message that you've never even experienced half of what I've gone through. Like I said, my ex-husband nearly ended me before this child was even born. And she had the audacity to tell me that me sharing my advice to other people isn't needed or wanted, and I should stay in my own lane. Well, I took that very hard because, as I said, making friends for me is incredibly difficult. Being able to open up to someone, not the easiest thing to do, because I've had to shoulder a lot of things in my life. And this has been my struggle for the last 7 months of dealing with things that are beyond my power and control. And yet there are individuals who think they can and do and have. So I've been struggling with being able to find my creativity. And a lot of these things have been prevented me from even having the space. Everything I have with my nail art, down to my groceries and my clothes, has to be boxed up because of various things going on in the apartment complex. And so it's hard to be creative when you can't find your stuff, and emotionally you're not doing very well. So I've been really trying to come back to having my space, and this is still going to be slow going because these problems, these issues aren't going to go away anytime soon. So I'm going to do the best to keep up with what I have to do, because I don't have any other choice. Trying to do my nails and being creative is the only thing keeping me sane, along with the people that I do have that are close to me that, again, I love you all so much. Thank you very much. And those of you who are following my channel, I am so sorry that I am not able to be here to do more. But I'm going to keep trying. So I have so many videos and information and things I want to share. And the unfortunate thing or fortunate thing of this miss who decided to completely knock me off my game, well, to be honest, it just pissed me off. And I hope I'm okay to say that. I am not going to stay in my lane as you think I should. I'm going to stay in my lane that I think I should. I'm going to do the things that I know I need to do. I know that people are asking me to do. I know that I am showing up to be my authentic self, and unfortunately, I don't care if other people don't like what I'm doing. I am no longer going to be cautious of the things that I do. I have no intention of stepping on anybody's toes. I will be polite and respectful always and first. But on the things that I do, on the places that I go, the person that I am, I will no longer hide because my light makes you uncomfortable. Like I said, I stood in the shadows to be polite and respectful of certain individuals because, again, I don't want to cause anybody else any harm. If I have, I'm sorry. Let me know, and I will figure it out. But if me being me is what's bothering you, and I don't think anybody on most of my channels and my followers feel that way. Those are not the messages that I'm getting. But if there's someone out there that you don't like what I'm doing, you go do you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for understanding. Again, I appreciate and love all of you for helping me to grow this channel to be something that I know can be amazing. My goal is to get to 10,000, and I'd like to get that by the end of 2026. I don't think that that's a difficult ask, but if what you are watching, if you find that the content that I'm creating valuable, please like, share, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and help me reach my goal by the end of this year. And I don't want this to be too long. So, again, if you've made it this far, share me some hearts of all the colors that you like, 1 or 100, whatever your preference is. Show me some hearts in your comments, and I will see you soon. Thank you for sticking with me. Bye.